Welcome to India Sports News, and we have some bad news from Indore. India has lost the third Test match by 9 wickets, and Australia pulled one back. And the series is now 2-1 in favor of India, with one Test to go at Ahmedabad. I have with me former India cricketer Nilesh Kulkarni. Nilesh, disappointed with the performance?
Absolutely. I think the way India approached this game after 2-0 lead, I think it was disappointing to see the way batters approached the game. After winning the toss, I think India also had an advantage. We spoke about it. India gave away the advantage by only scoring 109 runs. I think that's something which is number one of partial losing the advantage. Number two is when I think India came to bowl, couple of errors which have been happening from Ravindra Jadeja as a bowler, bowling a no ball with that kind of a shorter run up. You know, you know, Labuschagne was out on something like one or two or less than five
Hmm.
runs, and they ended up having a big partnership with him and Usman Khwaja. I think these are a couple of areas where India also had an advantage to come back in the game, but lost that because I think in a on a turning track on a difficult pitch, these are the pointers which you it stands out and makes a huge difference in terms of how you can control the game or come one up against the opposition.
In the second innings, India, for example, yesterday India wrapped up the Australia innings quite swiftly. The last 6 wickets falling for just 13 runs. So there was some hope that India has made a comeback, so they will bat better in the second innings. Do you think the second innings batting approach was even more disappointing?
Yes, of course, but it's always going to be difficult on this track. But one of the things which I would like to highlight also it is that it's Umesh Yadav who brought India back in the game and not the
Yeah.
regular spinners.
Hmm.
That's also a very different, significant contribution by a fast bowler. Using a reverse swing to most effective
Hmm.
weapon to get India back into the game. But it is always going to be difficult. Maybe if Umesh Yadav would have been brought earlier with the reverse swing, things could have been different. These are all ifs and buts in cricket, which doesn't have too much of a scope.
Hmm.
It's the decision on that particular spot which helps you take the right decision or the wrong decision.
Hmm. What did Pujara do differently to the other Indian batters in your view?
If you see the approach of Pujara, the way he took like a middle stump and a partially off stump stand, and the
Hmm.
only area after getting out to try and play towards cover, the bigger change what he did was he was playing with the spin
Hmm.
for off spinners, and
Hmm.
for ball going away, he was trying to play with the spin. I
Hmm.
think that's a good lesson with the kind of experience, and the good part is that Pujara has probably done that multiple times in domestic cricket.
Hmm.
That experience did help him counter that kind of attack. And if you see in the last three Test matches,
Hmm.
those who except Rohit Sharma, those who have overcome these kind of situations, is
Hmm.
very evident that Akshar Patel in the first two Test matches been a significant contributor,
Hmm.
and in both the innings he did not have anybody to support him. Again, I think there's introspection required. If he's a contributor with the bat and you're depending heavily on him, then is it something that the think tank needs to send him like six batting number at six? That he'll probably have more batters to play around with, because he was a standout performance in the first two Test matches. Looking at both the teams' contribution, his contribution stood out a lot for India to win both the Test matches. And in this Test matches, Akshar Patel did not have any company. I think these are the areas where the team management will put their thoughts together. I hope, and then that's how they'll come back stronger, because the World Test Championship is at stake for you to qualify. So these are the areas where the think tank needs to spend time with.
I wanted to pick your brains on the fact that there are two names that come to mind. What difference would these two names have made on this pitch? One is Rishabh Pant and the other is Surya Kumar Yadav. Both play aggressively, play in an unorthodox fashion. Would that kind of an approach have worked on this kind of a pitch?
Not really, because playing on different surfaces and playing on turning tracks is totally different. And I think if I remember it right, Before the test match started, I have interacting with you only on India Sports News. I have expressed one area of concern is that this wicket is a red soil wicket. It
Hmm,
offers different bounce, and how
hmm.
Indian batters counter that is going to be key. And I'm glad that this thing has come right, but probably disappointed that it has come right against India because handling different slow and low pitches are different. The bouncy pitches, as a bowler, I'm presenting you one thought. As a bowler, I'd love to bowl on a wicket which offers you bounce. Even if there's a less spin, if there's a good bounce and a bit of a turn, it's going to be always challenging for batters. And this is exactly what was proved in this test match. Nathan Lyon came back much stronger because he was a difficult. He's always a champion bowler, but you give him extra bounce, the kind of spin he generates with the angle over the wicket, round the wicket, he's even more dangerous, and which he proved right today.
What do you think Nathan Lyon did right that Indian spinners did not do right?
I think one of the areas where Nathan Lyon did something exceptionally right is, you know, he's not something which has got multiple variations. His strength is the traditional off spin, whether it's bowling over the wicket or round the wicket. He will continue to hit the spot. The difference was on the previous two test matches offered low and slow bounce. So he was not as effective as you could see him in this test match where the wicket started bouncing with the spin. Then it becomes a challenge for him.
We've just lost the
Then,
connection, but
sorry,
Nilesh.
yeah, sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
there was
yeah,
some internet challenge. So
yeah.
the wicket which offers bounce and some assistance brings a
Hmm,
different dimension altogether, and this is exactly what has happened in
hmm,
this particular test match, which Nathan Lyon took the extreme advantage of that situation. And
hmm,
what
hmm,
Indian bowlers missed out on is
hmm,
they gave away too many boundary balls in this.
hmm,
As a bowler, it's very easy to get carried away. As a bowler, it's very easy to get excited about saying that there's too much happening for you as a bowler. And sometime what I've learned as a lesson when I was actually doing something growing years, where Sir Frank Tyson used to advise, if the wicket is offering you more assistance, the more the reason for you to stick to your basics,
hmm, hmm, hmm,
the more the reason to control your excitement and start doing the basics right over and over again. They will give you more results than trying
hmm,
to experiment way too much. And I think this is exactly what happened in the first innings of Indian bowlers, where
hmm,
we went for wickets while leaking too many boundary balls. And
hmm, hmm,
Australia capitalized on those boundary balls. The moment strategy got changed and India became very solid in their approach of making sure they allow
hmm,
batters to do something different, we came back in the game.
hmm. And lots of talk will be around team composition and strategy and stuff like that. In your view, what's that one thing that India needs to change for the next Test match in order to keep up their hopes of making the World Test Championship final alive?
I think nothing much. Trust me, nothing much. It's a solid unit. They are very good players individually also and as a team. I
Hmm,
don't think they need to change the composition. It's just the approach in that last test match, how India want to go and how desperate India want to win this to be qualified for the World Test Championship
hmm,
will only be uh, a factor. It'll help India because we've got champion bowlers like Ashwin, Jadeja, and then with Akshar Patel's variation, I don't see that change is required. Umesh
hmm,
Yadav proved his worth in this match. Why? You can depend on him in these situations also when the ball starts reversing. He just got you to 4 wickets within no time in one spell,
hmm,
or one or two spells. I think India, if at all we need to change, is only the approach going into this test match to make sure that you are on the right frame of mind because we've got some quality players as Indians. It's just that they're all match winners.
What will this win do for Australia in your view? Because they were down and out after the second Test match. Everybody was berating them and mocking them, but here they are. They have come back in fine style.
I think they've assessed the conditions better. They came with better planning. They've actually come better prepared to handle these situations. And I think the margin of this particular thing was only about 40 to 50 runs in that first innings.
Hmm.
Had India controlled those 40, 50 runs, add that into this first innings, if you're chasing 140, 150 on the last in the last innings, the
Hmm.
mindset is completely different for all the batters. When you're chasing 78, it's a lot easier because you know that 120-30 partnership put the
Hmm.
opposition on the back foot because they still need to think about 8, 9 wickets. And
Hmm.
I think that was the only differentiator.
Hmm.
In
Hmm.
the next test match, I don't see that as a challenge. It's just that if India batters take up the responsibility the way Pujara did and the way Rohit Sharma also did in the first test match, and then the way Akshar Patel in both the first two test matches, I think if that application is adopted, you'll see a different Indian team in that last test match.
The fact that you speak about Akshar Patel with the bat in the first two test matches, do you think that everyone expected, even if India is in trouble, Ashwin, Akshar, and Jadeja will get them out with the bat? Does it happen always?
Yeah,
Does it?
no, it doesn't happen. But I think the role which is now given to Akshar Patel, I'm just little curious to know because if you are investing him, he's not bowling as many overs as Jadeja and Ashwin.
Hmm.
So if he's going to be your dependable by pulling you out of that number 6 or 7, then
Hmm.
is it worth thinking that he should bat at that position and not at 8, 9, where he's not
Hmm.
left with too many batters to revolve around? Is a strategy the think tank needs to be clear about because he's not giving you that many overs to run through a side, which he was doing it in the absence of Ravindra Jadeja
Hmm.
before Jadeja became fit. And if Jadeja is going to take the bulk of the bowling, then they may just think about how they can use Akshar Patel because he proved his worth with his bat as well in the first two test matches. When
Hmm.
he had batters around him, he pulled out good solid partnerships with Ashwin and Jadeja with giving him the company. But if he's not having that much of a support, then maybe a rethink of the strategy could be a good ploy to go into the last test match.
The team management did what you're suggesting. They promoted Jadeja up the order with both the innings. So somewhere they are thinking along the lines that what you are saying. But you're saying instead of Jadeja, send Akshar up the order.
So there's a reason why I'm saying that. Not taking any credit away from Jadeja because he's proved his worth over the years, deservingly going up in the order. But he's
Hmm.
also coming back from a solid break of injury.
Hmm.
And if Akshar is giving you the results, is it worth considering that right now as a
Hmm.
strategy? Is the point I'm saying. By no means I'm suggesting that Akshar should bat ahead of Jadeja as a regular feature. But
Hmm.
considering what he has delivered in the previous two test matches, it's worth deploying that as a strategy because at this time of the situation and where the World Test Championship, maybe it's Akshar Patel who give you that extra advantage when he can just have a batting around Jadeja, Ashwin, and then some one top order batter if he goes into bat will only help him build stitch that extra partnership to give that 60, 70 run advantage which India is looking out for.
Just one final thought. Would you say look at a Kuldeep Yadav in place of a Siraj? Because Siraj, anyways, has not bowled much in this entire Test series, and with the bat, he has regular brain fades. Would you much rather look at a Kuldeep Yadav as the fourth spinner, or is that asking for too much?
I think it's asking for too much because if your third spinner Akshar Patel is not bowling that many overs, what's your fourth spinner going to do? The
Hmm.
bulk of the bowling is done by the two bowlers and then the fast bowlers. In the previous two test match, it was Shami, partially Siraj, and now
Hmm.
it is Umesh and partially Siraj. So I
Hmm.
don't see that. But if need be, with the reverse swing and other things, if your third spinner is not going to is not bowling that many overs, what
Hmm.
is the reason for they need to think about adding fourth spinner? It's not even required because
Hmm.
it's good enough that these two champion bowlers are capable of running through the side. It is
Hmm.
just that if you have the runs on the board as a bowler, the mindset is a lot different because you got at least 15, 20 runs to play with. But
Hmm.
when they didn't have too many runs, that's when small mistakes look bigger, where that no ball wicket of Labuschagne looked much more significant in the context of the game. Because had it been at that point of time, Steve Smith would have come with the new ball in the hand for Jadeja. Things could have been a lot different. So I'm just trying to put those small pieces together. As no way I'm saying that it's a blame game, because in hindsight you look at that as an analysis. These are the mistakes India can easily avoid, because that's in the bowler's hand, and if they get rid of those things, the results could be a lot different.
On that note, Nilesh, thanks a lot for joining us. There are lots of questions and answers that the Indian team management has to think about. The next test match starts on 9th of March, so we still have some time. They have about 5 to 6 days to think and plan. One good thing because of this series is that we have had early finishes, 2.5 day finishes. This one was even quicker than the previous two test matches. So the Indian team management and the Australian team are ensuring that we have 2 extra days to ponder about. So hopefully next week before the fourth test match we'll catch up again. Thanks a lot, Nilesh, for joining us on India Sports News, and we'll be back again on India Sports News very soon. But you guys keep liking, sharing, and subscribing, and don't forget to press the notification bell. And also follow us on all the social media platforms. We are everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you.